Cherie,
Ethan?
that's me. I thought you would appreciate the best sushi in LA.
Wondering?
Hi Ella, how are you doing? Nice to speak to you.
I'm great. Lovely to speak to you. How's it going?
Brilliant. Yeah, congratulations on the movie. It's fantastic. I've just been watching it. Well, I loved it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
That's
that.
great. What I really enjoyed the most is the kind of what the story is great, but the chemistry between you and Pilu is just fantastic. I loved it.
He's
I mean, obviously,
sensational.
you are running like crazy all the way through the film, but there's just this great chemistry between the two of you. It looked like you had a ball, but at the same time, it must have been really complicated to get that kind of
Yes.
cold and hot chemistry all the way through the film, no? How did you approach that with the director and also with Pillow as well? How did you kind of approach that? That is because it's a really complicated balance to get right there.
So the main thing we wanted there is for it to definitely not feel like we were glorifying any of the things that were happening to Cherie. In the same respect, we also wanted to stay true to the genre. So keeping that balance was something that me and Pilu and Shauna were definitely aware of. And Pilu especially, he's such a charming guy. He's the eternal gentleman. He's so great on set. He always asks permission that I will extend and say, I don't know when he's going to do those things. So he has the gift of spontaneity, which is absolutely amazing. And I think that really was what pushed it over the edge in terms of keeping that scare factor, but also allowing myself as an actress to respond in a truthful and authentic way. That's kind of how we got the ebb and flow there.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's this kind of great chemistry and there's a lot of levity in there as well. But I mean, obviously, the seed of the film was obviously the director. She kind of started the film writing about her own personal experiences. So I imagine you had quite a lot of conversations with her, kind of brainstorming how you would approach it to kind of tackle that territory respectfully, but at the same time, be able to kind of have fun a little bit and kind of go into this fantasy
and make
world,
it an awesome horror movie. Yeah, no, Shauna and I spoke for at length about this, and you know, I think she can speak on this better than I can. But she wrote it from a place of experience, so immediately I trust anybody who is wanting to tell a story from that place of passion, and as well, it was a very big conversation I had with myself, just going, okay, what personal experiences can we draw from? And of course, there are experiences that I haven't experienced, but are a reality for other people. So again, it was about having those conversations and finding the fine line between how would this character act and how would an actual woman who has lived through this react to these situations. And I think we successfully found a balance there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, so was that solely from Shanna, or did you kind of go off and do your own research a little bit into kind of how you might react in this kind of situation? And the whole thing feels very misogynistic. So did you kind of do any research into? I mean, the world's not as misogynistic as we see in this film, no. But did you was there any specific research or anything that you kind of looked into? Just kind of find how you would react if you were kind of living in this kind of world that we see in the film, especially at the beginning, you know, when you're on the bus and these kind of things.
I think a lot of the things, there are some things in this film that this character goes through that I've also been through, and you know that's pulling on experience. And I went to two all girls schools when I was growing up. My primary and secondary school were both all girls. And I had plenty of friends who had unfortunately been through things that, they had no right to be subject to. And, you know, if as an artist, what we are here to do is, you know, take those stories and give the people who might not have a voice and be the vessel for that storytelling. And, you know, I think this film in particular lends its voice to that bigger conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, coupled to that is the metamorphosis you go throughout the film.
Yes.
I mean, you're just I don't want to give too much away, but you're just a completely different person by the end of the film. How did you approach that? I mean, obviously, I imagine a lot of it was down to the script, of course, but how did you approach it yourself? Because obviously the physicality and kind of the psychology of this character is really complex. How did you approach that? And who chose the fantastic costumes that you got to wear? Especially towards the end.
So our costume designer Nadine did a sensational job. She did let me choose the Air Force Ones though, which I was very happy about because I did have to live in those for the rest of the shoot. In terms of the character arc, emotionally was something that, you know, I worked very hard on. I have my process of making sure that when you look at the film from a linear perspective, you are not just at 10 at the beginning of the movie and then it's a 10 throughout the rest of the time. So that's sort of like an artistic responsibility there, which I was careful to manage. And then also physically, I worked with Charm LaDonna, who is an amazing choreographer, and to sort of physically find the journey of my character, because that feeds so much into it as well. She starts off as someone who has the world happening at her and she doesn't realize her full potential and realize the power that she possesses, and then towards the end of the film she becomes a total different person, and it's exciting because you can see how that's the start of a new journey for her.
Yeah, and Shanna said that it served very much as a cathartic exercise for her. Was the same true for you? And also, I know that the film has screened at festivals. Has anyone come up to you or to the director or anyone involved in the film and kind of said, thank you for this film because it's kind of made me feel understood?
I know what you're saying. So it was a cathartic experience for more reasons than just addressing the themes. You know, I felt so empowered after filming it because we're portraying things in film that otherwise might be a taboo. You know, we never talk about women getting their period, and then if we do, it's about like a coming of age thing or something. But in this respect, I'm like 50% of the planet go through this, and I'm feeling awkward on set right now. This is strange. So but it was weird, and then getting comfortable. I was lucky I had an environment which was so trusting and safe, and for me to like I say, go through that to then essentially be the voice for that in this film. And in terms of the wider picture, even today, it has been, you know, now I'm kind of in like the work mind frame now, but I can definitely tell you that once, you know, I'm sort of having the mini gap before the show, we're doing a screening later. The amount of people who even just in these interviews have brought up being like, yo, it was so refreshing to see. It was so, and you know, I feel empowered. The amount it's been brought up, I think it's probably definitely going to hit me sooner rather than later how, you know, much of an impact this film has.
Definitely. Yeah. Something else that was really impactful for the film, which kind of is coupled to what you just said, is the fact that there's this feeling of paranoia, that no one's listening to you all the way through the film, and you're the one that's going crazy, which is kind of related to kind of this experience that she's gone through, and that a lot of women will have gone through, and men as well also. That must have been something that was very complicated to kind of maintain this kind of paranoia. And I imagine this paranoia was specifically, the intention was specifically to kind of create this idea of women who aren't listening, they're not being heard, their voice isn't being heard, no?
Yeah, because I mean, it's a two-way street, you know. You can watch this film being like, oh, I know what it feels like to not be heard, but also you can also watch it from the perspective of maybe I'm not listening, and that's really powerful too, and it can be a really great thing too to have that realization when watching the movie.
Yeah, definitely. And then just to finish off, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, I mean, we don't get to see too many kind of special effects in this film. You get this chance to work face to face with Pilo, even though there are some things that I don't want to talk about to spoil the film. But it must have been really gratifying because, I mean, I don't know if you filmed this before Resident Evil or not, but it must, I mean, compared to kind of fighting this green screen and things like that, it must have been really gratifying to go up against someone so that you can actually kind of have right in front of you.
So we shot this film in January of 2019. So I had worked with Pilu prior to shooting Resident Evil. That being said, I think me to Resident Evil, the filming experience was, Run Sweet Heart Run was the first time I had tried a genre movie, and I definitely had my headspace was very much invested. I wouldn't go home and be the character, but I sure as hell felt it. My goodness.
Yeah.
And I think I was able to bring slightly more separation from myself and the character in Resident Evil. That, and also just how, you know, the atmosphere on set is. You know, it was quite an intense filming experience. Run Sweet Heart Run, we were on location. It was night shoots. It was very visceral. Whereas Resident Evil, you know, we shot that at a tricky time in 2021, and I think I was able to come with the experience of already having shot something of genre, and sort of captain the ship a little bit better than I might have done without the experience.
Brilliant. Well, listen, they're giving me the wrap, so thank you so much for your time, Ella. It's been really nice to speak to you. I wish you the best of luck when this comes out next week, and hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
Yeah, you too, Howard. Thank you.
I'm not gonna go anywhere, sweetheart.
What are you?